Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, this is Jesse with the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things right through a common sense lens. And the wins just keep coming, ladies and gentlemen. It is absolutely insane. From woke late night finally being dead to now it looks like Star Trek, woke Star Trek, Kurtzman Trek may end up being completely and totally DEAD dead over there at Paramount, because there's been some recent announcements from Paramount's new company, SkyDance, their new parent company, the one who's requiring all of them, some announcements directly to the FCC. Yes, legally binding announcements, declarations to the government itself as to what they plan on doing with CBS. And ladies and gentlemen, those evil cult-like diversity, inclusion, and equity practices are now DOA. And the most beautiful part about it is it's going to make all of the activists out there scream and cry. You can almost directly thank President Donald J. Trump for this, and the details are absolutely glorious. This means, ladies and gentlemen, the future of Star Trek and the rest of the programs over there at Paramount might end up being indeed a very positive and bright future, because woke is dead at Star Trek. It's Paramount Company, Paramount, and the rest of CBS, all because of the SkyDance merger. And ladies and gentlemen, all you have to do is thank President Donald Trump, because as you can see over here from cosmicbook.news, Trump saves Star Trek, Paramount, and CBS. And then, of course, some for more wonderful, juicy details, we can go over to thatparkplace.com, because as you can see here directly from the headline, SkyDance will end DEI, D-I-E, initiatives at Paramount and bolster news integrity at CBS. So yes, boys and girls, much like what we saw with David Zaslav coming into Warner Brothers and purging all of the activists from a lot of his high-end ranks out there, much like what we saw over there at Amazon MGM with Jennifer Sulky, the Wicked Witch of the West, getting fired and kicked right outside the door, we are now seeing the exact same thing happen at Paramount, ladies and gentlemen. The cultural shift is real. The activists are getting purged and their policies are getting deleted. And ladies and gentlemen, it does not get more beautiful and wonderful than that. So thank your Lord in heaven, because after years, if not decades, of us having to deal with all of the garbage, mind rot, woke mind virus out there, the purge is officially starting to happen, because, ladies and gentlemen, this political ideology has never sold, and it has literally caused illegal hiring practices, as well as a destruction to some of our most beloved IPs. And obviously, we're talking about Star Trek as well as so many others. But at least looks like the future, although it might take a while, the future of Star Trek may indeed be bright. So we're going to check out these articles. We're going to get all of the juicy details of exactly what's going on, and of course, what the FCC filing actually details, which That Park Place has the full breakdown for that for us as well. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding. We are growing. We just crossed 2K. We're hitting a sale on our way towards 2,100. I think we're sitting at like 2070, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, there's a comment in the section down below. Let me know what you think about all this. As a Star Trek fan, does this make you happy? Are there other programs over on Paramount or CBS that you feel have gone completely and totally down the toilet because of these DEI kind of initiatives? Do you think the future for Paramount and CBS as a whole may end up returning to a proper form where we get to see good quality television once again and not a bunch of diatribe political agenda nonsense? Or are you one of those people out there who's going to cry, whine, and complain that, oh, all the ists and phobes are winning? Please let us know what you think about all that in the comment section down below. As always, all opinions are welcome. Also, if you'd like to support the channel, check out the links in the description as well. So we're going to start over here with cosmicbook.news, and we'll jump over to thatparkplace.com here in a little bit for all of the juicy details of exactly what SkyDance has filed with the FCC. But we love ourselves some Matt McGloin over there, so we're going to go ahead and check this out. So from cosmicbook.news, President Donald Trump may have just done what Starfleet couldn't: rescue Star Trek, Paramount, and CBS from a woke implosion. As we previously reported, Paramount has been rumored to be making a U-turn on its diversity mandates following a backlash from fans and mounting financial losses. Obviously, we've talked about the Star Trek ratings. We've talked about how bad all of that's done over the last few years. I mean, it's just one of them situations. These diversity, inclusion, and equity narratives, this political correctness nonsense of the modern age, does not sell with a general audience, and it never has. With SkyDance's pending takeover of Paramount Global, big changes are officially coming, and Trump is taking a victory lap. Obviously, if you've heard any reports, if you watched our video talking about how woke late night is dead out there, if you heard not too shortly afterwards, Trump took a major victory lap, obviously praising the fact that Colbert's show is officially ending. And honestly, it's one of them situations where it couldn't have come sooner. Well, it definitely could have come a lot sooner, but just thank the Lord in heaven that it's finally happening right now. And there's the man you have to thank for it. Cry harder, activists. Common sense really is winning again. Via The Hollywood Reporter, SkyDance Media, led by David Ellison, has confirmed in a letter to the FCC that it will eliminate all diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives at Paramount following the merger. The company explicitly stated it does not have DEI programs in place today and will not establish such initiatives, adding it will comply with the non-discrimination laws instead. I know, strange concept. It's almost like the laws on the books already give you a fair playing field. You know, it's kind of like all of those illegal hiring practices that were exposed over there at Disney because they were literally hiring people based on their race or their religion or their political affiliation. Yeah, how has that worked out for all of the creative talent and all of the wonderful products that have come out of the Walt Disney Company over the past decade? Needless to say, it ain't going so well. This follows earlier changes Paramount implemented in February 2025. Scaling back DEI programs and altering hiring practices after the Supreme Court's Students for Fair Admission versus Harvard ruling. If you didn't know what that was the Asian student out there that found out that Harvard was intentionally discriminating against Asians because, I kid you not, they tested so much higher than other minorities out there that they considered them essentially white in their literally their practices of accepting people into their college, right? So literally you as an Asian had to score insanely higher than anyone else out there of a different race just to get accepted by Harvard. Yeah, needless to say, that was completely illegal and the Supreme Court ruled it unconstitutional. A lot of things have been changing since then. SkyDance's letter to the FCC outlines that Paramount will no longer use race, sex, or gender-based hiring quotas and that it was eliminated its official Office of Global Inclusion. So now at that point, let's jump over here to the That Park Place article because they detail that a little bit better. And obviously, shout out to our dear sweet Marvin Montanaro for putting this wonderful article together. So go over here. We've got the merger, background, regulatory hurdles. We've all covered that extensively, especially on our live streams that we do Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. with the exception of Tuesdays. That's our Sabbath. But all of that kind of stuff out there, that's just my Sabbath personally anyway. It's the day I take off because it's the only one I can justify with all the news going on and with all the rest of our shows. Anyway, besides the point. This is one of those situations where we obviously know that there's been a lot of regulatory hurdles. Obviously, there was the lawsuit going on between Donald Trump and CBS and all of that kind of nonsense. All of that stuff's gotten settled. All of that's over right now. Obviously, Colbert has been fired. There's a lot of the regulatory hurdles. All that kind of stuff has been going on. So this is where things get interesting. SkyDance's letter to the FCC, penned by General Counsel Stephanie Kyoko McKinnon, explicitly states that post-merger new Paramount, i.e. new Star Trek, new everything else out there, hey, what about we won't see any more Master Cheeks coming out of Paramount anytime soon, will dismantle all existing DEI frameworks. Poof, it's all gone. They're tearing it all down. They're throwing it in the dumpster. This is the list. This includes ceasing numerical goals tied to race, ethnicity, sex, or gender for job applicants and employees. They're admitting this was happening at Paramount. We know this was happening over there at Disney because we've got leaked videos from James O'Keefe, right? The O'Keefe Media Group that literally had an executive of Disney saying that they would not get their bonuses if enough people in their department did not meet the diversity, inclusion, and equity requirements, essentially hiring people based on their race and not the content of their character. Excluding these characteristics from promotion criteria and compensation plans, just like Disney was doing. Notice a pattern here? Eliminating minimum spending requirements for diverse suppliers. We're not going to spend money just to promote your business because of the color of your skin. We're going to find the best person to get the best and cheapest person to get our products from. Removing DEI references from internal training, social media, websites, and business conduct statements. That means all of it. All of the language, all of the woke language, all of the re-speak, all of the new speak, all of that kind of nonsense that they warned us about in 1984, right? Shout out to Comics Division for always bringing up George Orwell's 1984. Go check out Comics Division if you haven't already, and tell him the Common Nerd sent you. He's a great dude. But literally, this is all of that kind of stuff that we've talked about, right? We had a good friend of ours in the chat that hangs out in our chat a lot on our live streams, Griffin. He dealt with something absolutely identical to this kind of nonsense in his own company. Fortunately enough, with his employer, he was able to fight back, use logic, reason, and win and get this kind of stuff stopped, and he didn't have to comply with it. This is the kind of nonsense. This is what's gotten people fired from jobs because they would not comply with the new woke religion. And now Paramount is eliminating all of this. They are purging all of the woke from their company, closing the Office of Global Inclusion and reallocating employee resource groups under human resources with a new focus on employee culture and engagement. Instead, now you're getting employee engagement instead of employee exclusion, which is what you were getting before. If you did not agree with the cult in every single aspect, if you did not believe what they believed, if you did not use their newspeak, if you did not use their pronouns, if you did not completely and totally accept their mental delusions as absolute fact of reality, you would get fired. Now, instead, they want to engage their employees. They want to talk to them on an equal level. They want to have all of that kind of stuff out there. SkyDance emphasized that it currently operates without DEI programs and has no plans to introduce them, instead committing to compliance with Equal Opportunity Commission's guidelines on non-discrimination. The company asserts the shift will ensure equal opportunity based on merit. Strange concept, I know, right? Merit instead of the color of somebody's skin or where they happen to stick their genitalia in the bedroom. Yeah. Allowing Paramount to reflect the many audiences and communities it serves through storytelling that adheres to legal standards. Yeah, we're actually going to start making things for the audience that pays the bills and watches our stuff, and not all of the activists that have infested our company and completely and totally tore it down to the point of bankruptcy where SkyDance had to come in and save that. In parallel, SkyDance pledged to appoint an ombudsman for CBS News, reporting directly to incoming president Jeff Shell, i.e. the new boss in town. This role, lasting at least 2 years, will handle any complaints of bias or other concerns, promoting transparency and increased accountability. Boys and girls, you actually in the near future may see a CBS News that is fair and balanced that you can actually trust. 60 Minutes may actually be a trustworthy news show again. The world we're living, this is the best timeline. I don't care what anybody says, which I don't believe there are other timelines. I believe God's got it all figured out for us. Anyway, that's a philosophical discussion for another day. But anyway, I don't believe there's multiple timelines. But if there was, I firmly believe this is the best one. Because I know we went through hell. I know we went through the crucible. We lost so many things. We lost so many of our beloved IPs. We'll probably never get Star Wars back anytime soon. But at the end of the day, take your wins where you can get them. Because all the suffering, all of the pain, all of the screaming, all of the yelling that I have done that has damaged my throat, right? It's all been worth it, boys and girls. Because the heretic purge is here. The heresy is being burned with a heavy flamer out of every single one of these wonderful companies. And Paramount is just the latest, and it is a beautiful thing to see. The move is designed to guarantee that CBS programming embodies a diversity of viewpoints across the political and ideological spectrum. I know, what a strange concept. You should fairly report on both sides of every issue. I know, crazy, right? And remain fair, accurate, and fact-based. Wow. Those are things you didn't think you'd ever hear, and they weren't being completely and totally facetious or just straight up lying to your face about. These assurances incorporate input from petitioners, including the Conservative Center for American Rights, which has advocated for broadcasters to uphold public interest obligations as trustees of public airways. We're going to jump back over to Cosmic Book News real quick, but they talked about like public and industry reactions, and I love that they love that they put Matt McGloin's in here. Trump says Star Trek, CBS is Paramount. I just absolutely love that they put that in there. And so speaking of Matt in Cosmic Book News, let's jump back over to his article now that we've broken down all of the major talking points, all of the major bullet points that SkyDance has put out and sent to the FCC as far as the woke purge they will be doing inside of their own company. The move appears to line up with Trump's public criticism of corporate DEI policies and left-wing media bias. In fact, President Trump has said that SkyDance agreed to commit $20 million towards public service announcements and advertising in support of causes important to him. Trump was like, look, I don't need the money. You're already bankrupt. I know that. I know about your merger. I have access to the FCC and all of your documents, right? So look, instead of paying me more money, instead of paying me the billions of dollars that I facetiously asked for, because you always ask high and end up settling somewhere in the middle, and he obviously settled much lower than anywhere near in the middle. But needless to say, what does he do? Instead, Trump is now going to turn CBS, at least $20 million worth of it, into his own personal propaganda machine for his own personal political and favorite pet projects. I, for one, a lot of people are going to scream and go, that's not what you want. It's $20 million. It's not going to last that long, especially when it comes to like public marketing and commercials and everything else. But it's just hilarious that he's now like, okay, that's fine. And it's public service announcements and in causes important to him. So not necessarily political agenda stuff, but needless to say, CBS is going to have to be Trump's mouthpiece for at least a little while on all of his favorite causes. Like, I hope we get an ad with like Trump supporting like your local non-kill shelter, right? Like the ASPCA or something, where you just get a picture of Trump just petting puppies. And it has to premiere right in the CBS 5, right in the middle of the CBS 5 o'clock news, where he's just petting puppies and talking about how important, saving sheltered animals is and spaying and neuter your pets. Like the whole Bob Barker thing, right? Like I want Trump to do the whole Bob Barker thing with spay and neuter your pets and just petting some puppies and have to have Paramount, have to have CBS just promote it during their evening news. I mean, that would just be absolutely hilarious. So what does this mean for Star Trek, right? The important part. The timing couldn't be better for fans of Star Trek, which many feel have veered too far in divisive messaging under producer Alex Kurtzman. And even if you don't have a problem with the divisive messaging, check out Robert Meyer Burnett's view on current Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Dude straight up went off. And he's been reviewing the show, and he's had a lot of compliments to say about certain aspects of this show. And he literally just went into an absolute tirade about how all they're doing now at this point, they have no original new ideas left, and they're literally just ripping off story ideas from the original series, except doing them horribly, horribly bad. So yeah, even if you don't have a problem with the diversity, inclusion, and equity nonsense, even the storytelling's crap, which, trust me, one thing always leads to another. You can have bad storytelling without diversity, inclusion, and equity, but with diversity, inclusion, and equity, you're always going to get bad storytelling. Give me an example where I'm wrong. Rumors have suggested Paramount may cut ties with Kurtzman's secret hideout production company once the SkyDance deal closes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. If that happens, the next frontier of Star Trek might actually include good storytelling again, without the woke agenda. Sure, Star Trek tackles current politics and social issues, but things got so bad that the agenda was more important than the story, and that's been my definition of woke for quite a long time, where your political agenda matters more than a good storytelling. The example I always use is Fern Gully. Fern Gully is an incredible story. It is one of the most epic 90s non-made Disney stories out there for animation. It's just absolutely glorious and wonderful. And yeah, it's got a little bit of a political eco agenda message in there. Basically, don't cut down all the forests. It's kind of a bad idea, and you never know what you might unleash by doing that. But they literally unleash a demon. And really what it is about a fighting against some kind of monstrous thing with the backdrop of deforestation. But they don't sacrifice their storytelling to have the main characters constantly tell you over and over and over again that deforestation is bad and that the loggers are evil, right? They show you that on screen. They don't ever have to tell you. They don't have to ever give you a speech about that kind of thing. You know who the bad guys are by what they show you on the screen and by the actions they take. That is something that modern political activist, woke agenda, diversity, inclusion, and equity writers don't have and can't, because the only thing that matters to them is their political agenda and talking down to you and educating the audience to come around to their way of thinking. Yeah, it's a cult. Star Trek Strange New Worlds officially wraps its series with a shortened season 5. Thank the Lord in heaven for that, which lines up with Kurtzman's contract ending. I'm sure that can't be coincidence. The Starfleet Academy series is expected to get 2 seasons and then be done. So we already know that Star Trek is essentially coming to an end over there at Paramount and CBS. And the beauty part about this is that if there is a future for Star Trek, which if rumors are true, the new 2 kids that are coming in are going to be in charge. I say kids, they're probably in their 40s. The new people that are coming in to be in charge of SkyDance, the brother and sister combo, right? They're going to take over all of the responsibilities at Paramount and CBS and everything else and be running day-to-day operations. According to rumors, they're big Star Trek movie fans, like Star Trek The Motion Picture, Star Trek Wrath of Khan movie fans, not the new Kurtzman garbage, right? Not the new Jar Jar Abrams Trek stuff, right? Like the actual classic Trek stuff. And if that ends up being the case, well, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, Donald J. Trump could have just made Star Trek great again in the future at least, because they're purging all of the woke agenda, all of the diversity, inclusion, and equity programs are going away, and they're flat out saying that we are going to make sure that CBS is actual, fair, and balanced news going forward. And a lot of this has to do with the fact that Donald J. Trump is now an elected official, the official president, right? Now, Skydance admits that they didn't have any of these diversity, inclusion, and equity programs before. So there's a possibility that they were going to eliminate this stuff anyway from CBS. But at the end of the day, the FCC, who Donald Trump is currently in charge of, is the one that decides whether or not this merger goes forward or not. And part of the FCC's new commission is to purge this diversity, inclusion, and equity, aka the woke agenda, the spirit of the age, from all of these companies if they want any kind of favors, if they want any kind of deals from the FCC. And so, ladies and gentlemen, not only is Donald Trump making America great again, but President Donald J. Trump is also about to make Paramount, CBS, and Star Trek great again. And ladies and gentlemen, thank the Lord in heaven, because the woke, evil, mind virus spirit of the age, the straight from hell itself, Lucifer's baby, in the world as we see it today, is being purged from the world once again. And all of the activists out there that are crying and whining and are going to lose their jobs over this, well, guess what? You danced with the devil. Now you're getting burned. Your evil is getting purged from society. And ladies and gentlemen, we may end up indeed getting Star Trek made great again. And you've got everyone to thank, including President Donald J. Trump, but most of all of the fans that have pushed back against this for decades, caused the ratings to go into the toilet, and caused Paramount to lose billions of dollars. It was worth it, boys and girls, because things are changing and fans have won. Make Star Trek great again.